The absolute safest way to retire early without running the risk of running out of money is to work forever, which I know you don't want to do. So I talk about the balancing act between retiring early and not running the risk of running out of money, and also not being mad at me when you're 75 with $3 million going, hey, that was not my goal. Now, yeah, I have $3 million, but why didn't you tell me I could have retired earlier, or that I should have spent more when I had my energy and my health, when the money was literally worth more to me? And that's what I talk about on this channel. Everything from tax strategy to estate planning to healthcare, and it's what I love to do. So I'm going to show you a real case study so that you can see what I mean by this and understand those trade-offs for yourself. Let's hop into it. So if you look at my screen here, here's someone, they're 57 and 50, they're ready to retire. They are over their work, they want to travel, they want to enjoy life. What they're wondering is, are we walking away too early? So you can see they currently want to spend $6,000 a month in retirement. That's after taxes adjusted for inflation. They have some healthcare and long-term care estimates. It's not perfect, but it's a starting spot. I always say, I don't do financial plans. And people go, well, that seems odd since that's exactly what you're showing me. And I'll say, I do financial planning because life changes and tax law and legislation, and we have to stay dynamic. So I'll joke with people, my clients mainly, not the average person at the grocery store, but my clients, and say, I need you to be a retirement boxer. I need you to stay dynamic, be being willing to shift based off what's happening. If markets are doing well, I'm going to be asking you to spend more and take more of those trips and help more of those foundations. But it means on the flip side, there might be occasions where I go, hey, I might ask you to spend a little bit less this month, and here's why, so that you can actually make sure you have money for the rest of your life. So all of this is so that you can retire with confidence. That's why I make these videos, and I love getting to do it. My name is Ari. I am the Chief Growth Officer here at Root. I am the host of the Early Retirement Podcast, and I am a CFP, Certified Financial Planner. Just because I'm certified does not mean you should listen to me. How many doctors would you never let touch your body? I'm sure a lot of them. There's a lot of CFPs that I know who I would never let manage any of my money. So don't listen to me because I'm certified. Hopefully you listen and resonate with the content because it makes sense to you. So let's look at this example further. In terms of their assets, I know you're wondering, okay, well, what are they working with? Well, they have $50,000 in their bank, 1.3 in their investments, 150 is in a superhero account, 1 million is a 401k, 100,000 in a Roth, and 50 in an HSA. You can see they own a home worth $1.6 million nearly, and 117,000 is their current mortgage. They've almost got that paid off. Real quick, short, fun story on this. I had someone who said, hey, I'm so close. Should I just pay it off? I said, what's the financial answer? They said, well, I know the financial answer. The financial answer is I should not pay it off. I should pay the minimum because I've got like a 3.75% interest rate, which is so good. Then I should try to invest the rest because historically the S&P does 10%. So even if I get 6%, it'll make more financial sense. I know. I said, you should go pay off the mortgage. And before I explained it, they were like, oh my gosh, thank God. I was hoping you were going to say that. I'm going to sleep so much better. I can't wait to tell my wife that we get to pay off the mortgage. And that's when I really first realized, well, personal finance is personal, because even if they know the financial answer is to not do that, historically, it might be the right answer for their sleep at night. They're like, oh, it's one less thing to worry about. Oh my gosh, now we just don't have to worry about that mortgage, and we've had it for so long, and finally those payments are paying off. That's something that people don't throw a party for when you go up in value by $200,000 in your IRA. You do throw a party when you have no mortgage, even if it's a party in your head. So know that you don't always have to make the right financial decision if the emotional one will let you sleep better at night. Now, for their case, we want to see, hey, what's the safest way for them to not run out of money? This is where it gets real tricky. So I had put on their plan that they're going to downsize in the future. I'm going to say that they are going to downsize from their $1.6 million home to a $900,000 home. So that's changing their plan, obviously. Many of you are like, I have no interest in that, but I'm going to leave it on. So they are 57. They're retiring immediately. They want a balanced portfolio, so not significant growth. They just want to make sure they have enough to outpace inflation. $6,000 a month. That is what their goal is, $72,000 a year. So here we are. It looks like it's going to have $782,000 at the end. That's assuming that they have significant long-term care expenses from 87 to 90 at $127,000 a year. These are assumptions. It's not perfect. It's just assumptions. If you want to make sure that you never run out of money, what you want to do is you want to say, wow, This graph looks good. I understand the graph shows I'm not running out of money, but it is not the graph that I would tell you you could retire on, which is why I say I'm not always the nicest financial advisor. In fact, I am the meanest on YouTube. I promise I'm very cordial and I am nice, but I'm very transparent. So this is the graph that most advisors use to show a client, look, you're going to be okay. I do not use this graph. I click on retirement details and I click on withdrawal rate. I want to know how much of your portfolio will you be spending and is that sustainable? Because at the beginning of this person's retirement, they're in a good spot, 2.8%. Then I'm seeing 5.5%. That's on the higher end. That's kind of what I would like to see. Then 5 or nearing 6% there. That's a little higher than I would like. But then it's dropping 4%, 3%. Now we're in 2%, 3%. This is extremely sustainable. So if you ever see a year or 2 or 3 where it's at that 5, 6% range, if this number kept going up, that would tell me they're not in a position to retire early. But because their number is decreasing, meaning how much they're taking from their portfolio is going down because their portfolio is growing faster, that tells me they're in a good spot to retire. So when I see some big withdrawal rates, these are long-term care. So this is manufactured by me. I'm forcing them to go pay for this long-term care. Imagine we switch it to 5 years. What does that do to the plan? Instead of 3 big lines, you're going to see 5 big lines here. You can see at one point, they're right in that 6% range to their withdrawal rate. What if they said, Ari, we're really loving retirement. My gosh, can we spend $8,000 a month? Because we're going to be so much happier. Well, you could. The risk at the beginning of your retirement, it's not a big issue. But then at 7.5%, 8% and rising, that's telling me it's not sustainable. So people will say, well, how much can I spend? What's the most? I'll say, well, we want you in that 5 to 5.5% withdrawal rate. That's a comfortable position, assuming you're doing all the right things. So originally $6,000, up that by $500. Here's another, $6,000 a year. If they were in the 3% range and then had a few years in that 5, 6%, this doesn't bother me because it's going to decrease later as long as they're willing to be dynamic. Meaning if markets didn't do well during these years, I might say, hey guys, can we temporarily cut the spending, or can we, until there's Medicare, we have healthcare expenses? Can we instead spend years 62 and 63 on 3 vacations instead of 5 vacations? And then once Medicare kicks in, you don't have healthcare expenses to the same degree. You're not paying out of pocket for marketplace. So now instead of 3 trips, put that back to 5 trips for vacations. So I just ask my clients are willing to be dynamic because I don't want them to run out of money. This withdrawal rate is a really good gut check because you can see over here, it shows they run out of money at 91. That's assuming they spend $6,500 a month. So the other mistake is people will go, well, I don't want to run out of money, and they'll put this to $4,000 a month to be super, super safe being in quotes here, obviously, because now you have 2.3 million at the end. Yeah, that's a lot of money, but there's a lot of experiences and regret you likely had unnecessarily because you had assumed for a very balanced portfolio that doesn't grow significantly and that you only spend $4,000 a month where, yes, now your withdrawal rate looks really good, but I would argue it looks too good, where it's too low, where you're going to be mad at me later going, why didn't I spend more, retire earlier, help more, give more? So hopefully this video enlightened you in a few different ways. I always say the sign of a good financial plan is a life well lived. That's what we preach here at Root. If you enjoyed this video, you can use this tool that I showed you. It's in the description of this episode. And then, of course, you can go to our website, Root Financial. In the upper right, you'll see a little button that says see if you're a fit. If you click on that and answer a few questions, we might be talking very soon with ways that we can help you retire early. That's it. Thanks, guys.